Okay, so hello everybody. A very warm welcome to today's session on data science industry readiness, where we are actually going to discuss about the careers that freshers gonna have, interviews and things much actually beyond that. Now, since we have gotten overwhelming responses this time regarding the registrations, we have actually crossed much more of what we thought. We had to accommodate the event both on AirMeet and also live streaming on YouTube at the same time. So that is why you would see multiple channels going on live at the same time. So, okay, I think before we get into the details, I would like to introduce Utsav Agarwal here, right?
Thank you.
Yes. So basically, talking a little bit about him, he has a 5+ years of experience in the field of data science and machine learning. He is a 2016 graduate with a major in computer science. Now, regarding his journey considered, he had started his journey with TCS Innovation Labs and then moved on to work with Samsung as an ML engineer. And then now presently he's working as a senior data scientist at Oracle, right?
Thank you.
Yes. Okay. So this is basically in collaboration with our organization, MyWays. Talking about us, we are a personalized career growth hub. We are completely backed by psychometrics and artificial intelligence. Now, the major objective to host webinars like this basically comes out as a quest to help students in their career path journey and life development through mentorship. Okay, so I can see a lot of people here. Before we move forward, I think you all can type in the chat which college are you from, which year are you in, so that we can have a very mixed conversation around the same thing. Yes. Okay, that's great. Okay, yes. Okay, third year IIT Kanpur. Okay, fantastic. Okay. So I think we have a very mixed sort of crowd here. We have people right from freshers to also passed out ones. So I hope whatever all of you are here for, we will succeed in giving you the kind of value which actually we have thought. So yes, okay, that's great. That's great. Okay, we have also received a set of pre-submitted questions, and we are very sure that we are going to take it at the end of the session. Okay, SRCC. Okay. So we do have a mixed crowd here, both technical and from non-technical fields, which is actually good. It shows that how people are also so much invested from non-technical background also in data science, and then there is no hindrance that only technical students can go for it. I think Utsav can talk a little bit about this. Utsav, what do you think on the same? Is like data science something which is very limited to a particular code, or it has a very wide scope that way? Utsav, you're on mute, I think. Utsav, you're on mute.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Am I audible now?
Yes, yes. Now you're audible. You're on mute.
Okay.
Yes.
So I was saying, if we look at any industry, any vertical of the industry, for example, automobile, mechanical, right, civil, or manufacturing, or let's say e-commerce, retail, or any field like nuclear science or anything, everywhere data is getting collected, right? Lots and lots of data. So data science is not restricted to computer science, basically, or to just coding, people who know coding. It is kind of something that you utilize data to improve something, right? To improve maybe a business, you provide better facilities to customers, better maybe customer service, make your company more customer eccentric, improve your businesses, improve your sales by pre-planning your, for example, inventory, right? If you are operating a retail store, you can pre-plan how much inventory do you want at this particular time, so that your sales can be maximized, your inventory cost can be reduced. If you talk about it can also be used in monitoring, for example, in manufacturing, right? Or mechanical, people must be aware of this. They have, like in industry, in manufacturing units, a lot of defects and faults come and on a regular basis, and that really impacts the production line, right? The whole assembly line gets disturbed for that. So the data can in advance tell you that, look, this is something that where we are expected to get a fault, right? So we better prepare for something, maybe this part is missing, or some service engineers, or all those things. So all the data can be used to improve something, right? So I think to answer your question, that it is not just restricted to computer science. I think computer science guys has one plus point, that they know coding, right? But that is just something I think in today's world everyone knows, because if you don't, you can just open YouTube and there are tons of videos, and a code chef and all those programming websites are there. So I don't think that's a hindrance as far as data science is concerned.
Exactly. I think even seeing the crowd here, we do have people from non-technical backgrounds also, right? So this clearly shows that how much invested people want to be in a field like this, which is constantly expanding. Okay, so coming to this, I would like to hand it over to Utsav from here on. Please feel very free to actually type in your questions to the chat boxes, to the YouTube comment section. Anything all of you feel free like to, right? So we'll take it up at the end. Yes, I think Utsav can take from here.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Anisha. First of all, I would like to thanks Anisha and Tanvi for organizing this event. And of course, this is in collaboration with MyWays. So my first event with them. So congratulations. And second thing, I've been informed about that a lot of people from IIT Madras have joined. So you guys must be aware that there is TCS Innovation Labs in IIT Madras Research Park, right? So I was there, and I used to occasionally visit your campus, and it was really beautiful with all those deer and black bugs, everything. It was really great. So it was just a nostalgia when she talked about it. Of course, coming back to the point. So guys, first of all, be free to interact with me. Okay, anything, we can take your questions in between also if it is important, or we'll have a Q&A session at the end of the talk also. So nothing to worry about it. The whole agenda is that you must be aware of what to learn in data science, what industry wants in data science, right? Are you on the right track if you are already on this track of learning data science and want to make your career in data science? There will be people joining from different backgrounds, maybe mechanical, civil, or maybe anything, right? I am not mentioned that, but my whole idea will be that whatever your background is, right? Or even if you're not from technical background or a non-technical background, right? What should you do to come join the data science industry? This is the industry which requires a lot of good talents right now, right? If I'm There are things to mention, like all about Harvard 2021 or 2020 best jobs for data scientists and all those things, that maybe we can keep those things aside, those buzz terms. So we'll talk in very layman terms, right? What data science is, what you guys will be doing, and how you can prepare for that. The whole idea is that we are doing something that serves the industry. It can be any industry vertical, it can be your manufacturing, it can be your retail, e-commerce, or anything, finance, banking domains. So that's why non-technical people who are from commerce backgrounds or other backgrounds, right, they're very good at in commerce things. So they have the domain knowledge of commerce or finance and banking. So learning a little bit of data science, right, they can start utilizing data science for whatever they are doing, do it a little bit better. So I have a chat with me, like I have no questions so far. So we'll start with some basic introduction, right? And then we will proceed. All right, guys. So I hope you guys can see my screen, right? And as you know, my name is Utsav Agarwal, and about me, I think Anisha has given some introduction. So let's not waste more time, but quickly I will go through. So I have been working with TCS in Innovation Labs Chennai, right? And that's where I started my journey. From there, I moved to Samsung as machine learning engineer, and there I worked in the field of computer vision, so camera intelligence, right? We all have these AI-enabled cameras these days, right? That do real-time image stabilization, real-time contrasting, face recognition, object detection. So I was working in that. Then after that, I am currently working in Oracle. And here my work is to improve businesses based on their data, right? We can how building recommendation systems or building some sales forecasting, accounts receivable forecasting. So some forecasting systems that improves the businesses. So improves basically the ease of doing business, also their sales and their revenues. So that's the whole, in brief, the work I've been doing from past 5 years. And so let's first quickly, I will talk about the learning part, because there may be people who are new to this field and they want to know what is the exact learning path. So there are two ways. First of all, I will start with Python, right? If you know Python, Python is just like a tool where which you can use or apply the concepts that you know about data science. So for example, if any statistics concepts is there, or you want to just sum up the sales of a company for all the transactions, right? You would need some programming knowledge to do that, right? Otherwise you'll need the calculator, or you'll do it on an Excel sheet. So Python is just like, like a tool which you can use to do or implement some concepts or solve some problem, right? But that's not it. It is just a starting. It is just a language barrier, and you can start with Python, right? Then you can go with statistics. If you talk about data science, like right now it's very buzz term in 2000, from 2012 onwards. But if you talk about 1980s, 1990s, there were no data scientists, right? There were statisticians. So data science has evolved from the statistics. So it becomes very important to understand about the data distributions, whether it's normal distribution or any other uniform distribution, or some of the hypothesis testing concepts. What is mean, median, mode, variance, covariance, correlation? So there are some concepts in statistics that get used a lot in data science. You don't have to read all the statistics books. That's not what I'm saying, but you should know enough statistics to go with it, right? Then once you complete the statistics in Python, it's your time to get your hands dirty on the real data, right? Because you know Python, you know statistics, so you can do the exploration. For example, you can check out some data, some sales data maybe, and you can check out how's the trends going, how's the sales improving over time, or what are the different factors that are influencing the sale. For example, it's geography, or it's tier 1 or tier 2 city, or the population density of that area. There can be multiple factors that can impact the sales, right? So you can explore that in this phase of exploratory data analysis. Then once you begin doing exploration of the data, right, then next step is to learn how to do forecasting, how to do prediction. For example, using machine learning algorithms to predict something. For example, if there's a sales data, right, sales data of some industry, right, and you started to analyze that sales data. Now they want you to not just analyze the sales data, but also to predict what will be the future sales, right? We all have so far like heard something about some prediction, like in quarter 2 the results would be this is the expected results, or Tata missed by 1% of their expected results. So all these news we came, it's very obvious, right? You must have been hearing from long time right now. So that's all is done using machine learning algorithms, all sorts of forecasting, right? Then once you understand how machine learning works, right, the next step is the deep learning. Deep learning is just a part of machine learning where you use neural networks to make machines learn. So the why deep learning I have specially mentioned, because the accuracy or the results of deep learning is far more enhanced from machine learning. So just with a very basic example, if you were using, we all were using phones from 2008 2010, right? That was a time phone were in a lot of trend, right? 8 9 10. But there were a lot of phones that had speech recognition. We used to say something and it used to recognize what we are saying, but most of the time it was not very accurate. That's why people were not using it, but companies were giving these kind of features in their cell phones. That time this speech recognition was being done by machine learning algorithms, the traditional machine learning algorithms. But as the data got, a lot of data got collected over the time. Right now, as the computational power has improved a lot, right, the advancements of CPUs, GPUs, NVIDIA, all those things, now deep learning is being used. And you can see that whether it's Alexa, Google Assistant, Siri, right, they can do the speech recognition at a very lightning fast speed and a very great accuracy. So that thing is done by deep learning, right? So these are the 5 steps, and that can take you to the trophy of the learning path. Now apart from this whole thing, you should be you should be active in your community. So that's another part of it, where you read blogs on towards data science or Medium, right? You understand problems on Kaggle, you start contributing to that, or you try to uh, see what other people have done in the area. So there are lots and lots of problems on Kaggle. If you haven't visited, I would very recommend this thing to visit Kaggle and see what are the different problems. Then peer-to-peer interaction, like discussing in among your friends. So this is one of the greatest way I have experienced so far in learning and in analyzing things. So not everything you can soak in just by yourself. Since we all can interact each other from cell phones, from chats, from WhatsApp or discussion forums, Reddit, and all those things, you can take advantage of them and see what other people are thinking, right? Then watching videos on YouTube. If you know some concept is there, you don't know, anytime you can YouTube those concepts, and those lots and lots of good materials are available on YouTube. I also have a YouTube channel, so I'll maybe share that in a while. And maybe you can start from Python playlist. If you are new, then you have statistics, EDA, all sorts of videos I have also added. If you want to go through that, you can check out. Then GitHub. Okay, once you start understanding things, GitHub is a very important point where you can actually contribute to the open source community, because a lot of these things you will be learning from the community. Then you should also be willing to share also. So that is the whole path that you can take to learn the data science or to be a data scientist. Now coming back to what are the most focused area for industry perspective, people talk about people say that for industry, I know machine learning, I know data science, but for job I don't know where to focus more, right? And now where should you focus more is that from the data handling and feature engineering part, because most companies where they get stuck in the data handling itself, because these companies have huge and terabytes and petabytes of data, right? And to analyze such big data is a very, very challenging task. So when you're learning data science, spend your time wisely on data handling, data analysis, and feature engineering. This is very important step of feature engineering that people miss out, right? You can create some of the new features from existing data. For example, if I give you my date of birth, yeah, right, and there's some transaction details of mine and my date of birth is there, so you can conclude my age from the date of birth and see how age factor is impacting the sales of that company, right? For example, maybe 30 plus people are buying that particular product more, or maybe it's more oriented towards the youth, right? So they can get to analyze more things if you do feature engineering well, right? And these new features you can add, they can also add to the prediction or machine learning models that I just talked about it. So now how to switch in the data science field, right? So for this, I have like two major steps. One thing for students and one thing is for professionals. So if you are a student, right, you are maybe in second year, third year, fourth year, and you can be from computer science, you can be from some other field, that doesn't matter here. Now first thing is the knowledge, right, that we just talked about, those 5 steps: Python, statistics, EDA, machine learning, and deep learning. So those things you should have. Those are like the base that you stand upon. Okay. Now there are two particular things. One is the domain. Okay. So what for fresher, I would say you can be maybe a little bit good at some domain. For example, you are a mechanical guy, right? And I ask you, why do you want to come into data science? So you should have a valid point to me saying that, yeah, sir, I was doing some of the projects in this particular area, maybe analysis of maybe something you're working on, right? You know how late machine works or how assembly line works. I don't know about them, but you can say that using data science, I think we can improve something. So you should have the domain knowledge, right? And you should have a business problem to solve on top of that. For example, just you like improving the production using maybe some of the data. For example, let's talk about one machine. Okay, let's talk about one machine. Let's say this is machine and this produces car. Okay, now what can go wrong into this machine is that it can get damaged, right? Or there may be some service time. For example, every 1 month it gets serviced. So that is the data point, right? That is one data point, that every 1 month it needs service. Now some of the time it also makes some noise when it runs. So that can also be another data point, like what kind of noise is it making? It's the noise is loud, slow, harsh, or maybe some any other level of noise, right? Those data points you can collect. Maybe when it's the noise level start to exceed the 10 decibel, there's a very highly likely chance that this machine is going to fail in 2 to 3 days, because something is not right. Or maybe the fuel consumption or energy consumption or the efficiency, all these things can play an important factor that can influence how this machine is going to work in the futuristic state, and will it get maybe impacted, or you can improve that, right? So that's why have some business problem, identify some of the business problems that you've been doing, the work you've been doing. You all are professionals, you all are students, and we all have been working on some of the things, right? So think about those problems in your mind and analyze what can be the data points. For example, in sales, what can be the different data points? Can be customers age, can be city, tier 1 tier 2 city, metropolitan city, can be the country, or can be maybe GDP of that country, or average spending of per capita spending of the people. All those factors can influence sales, right? That they influence the purchasing power and ultimately the sales. So now you should, on top of domain knowledge and business problems, you should come up with a project. So once you have a good project portfolio, I think you are good enough to go ahead and showcase to maybe any company, right? That once they see your project, they will get to know that this guy has really worked on some of the business problems. Not just he knows Python, I not just Python statistics, or I know some of the machine learning algorithms. That's not enough. You should know how to get the job done, right? That's when you get to a point where you can say, yeah, I'm the one, right? You got the point, right? So that's a little bit about how to search in the data science field. And now data science processes. So data science process, if you want to know, it's very kind of simple. You collect the data from different sources. Let's say we want to do stock market analysis, right? We want to predict the prices of a stock. A lot of people get interested in how this is so cool. You can forecast the prices of stocks, right? But how can it be done? You can collect the data from different sources. Maybe you want to for Tata Motors, you want to predict let's say what would be the stock price tomorrow. So you collect maybe previous high, open, low, close of 5 years or 10 years. Then you collect some other data like economical indicators, or how the GDP has grown, how the overall automobile sector has grown in the year. So you collect the data from different sources. Once you collect the data, then you put the data in a very articulated way in those tables, right? The data is processed. You clean the data if there's something needs to be cleaned there or not. Maybe just very simple thing like you want to convert the date time format to some other format, right? You want to just have the month or year or something else, right? You analyze the data, how the previous trends have been, or what were the different factors that has influenced the prices of Tata Motors. Was it when the economy was growing, how was it impacting the Tata Motors? Or when the overall automobile sector was going, did it impact the stock price? Or maybe so recently, I'll give you one very, very cool example. So, if you a little bit on the background of stocks and all, Tata Motors stock has grown like 4 to 5, I guess 3 to 4 times from past 1 year or 1.5 year. Now, the reason, like they were the early movers in this electrical vehicles, right? They were early movers. They have Tata Nexon EV. And in US, if you see, Tesla Motors stocks have also gone up significantly, right? That made the Elon Musk the world's richest man. So you can see some correlation, right? When the Tesla, which is also producing electric vehicles, stock is going so high, Tata Motors has stock soared to 2 to 3 times. So you can see some correlation between these two things, right? Electric vehicles is in trend, simple, right? So this all things you come to know when you do the EDA. Then once you do the EDA, you start building models and using the machine learning algorithms to do the forecasting. Then in typical business project, once the forecasting is done, you communicate, visualize the report, right? And also put that your whole forecasting model as a product, right? And then product can serve in the reality. You can deploy that in real time, which can give you real time predictions for every day or every hour of the day, right? So that's a typical data science process. Now in portfolio, you should have your projects. That's one thing I told you, what kind of projects you should have. right? If you have some projects, you can share it to the open source, you can upload it on the GitHub, and the GitHub links you can put in your portfolio. Then you can have, if you have done solving some problems on Kaggle, a lot of companies now ask if you are doing Kaggle or not. I was doing Kaggle back in 2016-17, so I think that gave me a edge on interview in my Samsung interview, because that time it was not that much popular as it is. A lot of value. Then if you have some industry experience, some internship experience, it is good. If you attend college workshops, I think it is good. You can add that in your portfolio. Your contest ranking, so participating in contests on Kaggle, Analytics Vidya, Hacker Earth, all these things, or all these platforms organized like data science, machine learning platforms. So I think you can participate in them, get to prove yourself, establish yourself as a data science practitioner, right? And this all things add up to your portfolio. So that's about portfolio. And a little bit on the washing machines. I think you guys must be a little bit, why is the washing machine here? So guys, I wanted to tell you something about which side of machine learning you should focus. Ultimately, you guys will be moving towards machine learning once you start, or you have already moved towards machine learning, right? That's where all those magical things happen, like prediction, forecasting, and all those things. But let's come back, let's take a step back, and how many of you have used washing machine, right? Maybe everyone has used washing machine before, right? Or they may, I don't think there's someone who has not used washing machine. But do you know how to build a washing machine from scratch? Building the drainage, electrical, mechanical, all those things. Then maybe few very smart guys from IIT Madras that they can build washing machines. But I'm sure maybe very handful of guys. So most of the people don't know how to build washing machines from scratch, but they are able to use it. Then why do they use it, right? Because it delivers the purpose, it solves the purpose, right? That's what we have to do with ML. We don't have to write the ML algorithms from scratch. So there are multiple ML algorithms that do the prediction thing, prediction forecasting, but we don't have to implement those ML algorithms from scratch. You must know how to use the knobs of the washing machine, how to tune the knobs so that you get the job done, you get the clean clothes out once you put in the dirty ones, right? So guys, there is a difference between market trends that are going on, like all the ML courses out there which are teaching you only to build the washing machines from scratch, but they're not telling you how this washing machine from scratch can be used. So similarly, these machine learning algorithms are already there, but you don't, maybe you must know how they work, but it's not very necessary you build them, right? So there is the demand. So the building washing machines from scratch is similar to machine learning engineer. Okay, what they do is they invent and improvise. They invent new algorithms and they improvise so that they get better results. Okay, they get better results in terms of maybe a little bit point improvements in the accuracies or forecasting or predictions. But what machine learning engineer does is they applies the machine learning algorithms, existing machine learning algorithms, to solve business problems. Okay, and that's what the industry needs. You can say 90% or 95% of the industry is now need machine learning engineer and not machine learning researcher. Earlier industry was also not clear about who to hire. They were hiring a lot of PhDs, but those were the people who were like machine learning researchers, or they were hiring people who know how to build algorithms from scratch. But now they got to know they need people who can solve the business problems, right? And to solve the business problems, you don't have to reinvent the wheel, right? You have to have the knowledge that takes it to get the job done. You should know programming, you should know statistics, you should know machine learning, you should know how the data is being handled, right? You should know multiple various domains of the data science, and that's what makes a data. So which, for example, if I give you carrot or cucumber, you can use a machine learning model to say that to draw this particular line to segregate. This is carrot, this is cucumbers, this is tomatoes, or do some forecasting regular trends. So it basically, this particular line that you see, right, this is kind of, you can say, what exactly internally is going in machine learning models. They fit and they learn this line. Okay. And different algorithms are the ones that, is it going to be a straight line, is it going to be a like a line like zigzag line, or like neural networks, what they do is they draw a very complex pattern of line so that they can fit very well on the data sets. So we'll not go very much technical into that, but then you must know very basics, how, what are the different different data types, like categorical data, numerical data. So that's where you guys can start your, if you're not sure, because a lot of questions get asked, what is the ordinal data, and you'll be like, I know machine learning, I know deep learning, but ordinal data, I'm not sure. Then you are lost, guys, because everything starts from the data. If you don't know data, it's not enough to know all those complex mathematics. If you know that, right, not enough. So you must, for example, your numerical data has continuous and discrete, you must be able to explain them very wisely, right? If I give you a fan regulator, right, the fan regulator is a discrete numerical data, whether and the voltage or the electricity that is going inside the fan to make it run is a continuous data. For example, 1 ampere, 1.2 ampere, 1.3 ampere, or 1.35 ampere, right? Similarly, the ratings you give to the Zomato or Swiggy, these are all kind of ordinal data. Okay, that has some order in that. Even though these are ratings, these are like 1 rating, 2 rating, but they has an order, right? Like 2 rating is good than 1, and 5 is the best, right? So there's some order in that. So you must work in this direction also, to understand data from their very basics. So, and then once you understand data, you get to understand the features, right? What describes a particular thing. And for example, we have here very simple apple can be described with its colors, right, with its type, with its shape. Whether it's a logo or it's a fruit, it will be defined by the features that apple has. That's how machine learning, or that's how the data science field works, right? And then we have two major things in machine learning, which are like supervised learning and unsupervised learning. And supervised learning needs annotated data, right? You should have the data. For example, these are all the features of apple, and this is an apple or a red apple. These are all the features of an apple, but this is a particular logo. So this is annotated data. And in another scenario, you can have the data of maybe some animals, right? For a supervised learning example, for example, there's some animal who has 4 legs, who has a tail, right? And there's another animal who has like maybe 8 legs, doesn't have tail. So maybe it's a spider, or it's a cat, right? So, but you don't know, you're not giving this information to the system. So what it will do, it will kind of cluster similar data points all together. Okay, 2 eyes, 4 legs, tails, come here, but it doesn't know, right? So there are two aspects to machine learning, which is supervised and unsupervised learning, and this you must know. You should start your journey from, if you are starting machine learning from new, start from very basics of supervised and unsupervised learning, because questions come from here, and you will also need them to solve some business problems. So I think that may be it, and I would like to go ahead and take your questions. I think enough of what we've been going on. Okay. So Nitish has asked, can you share the link of this PPT? Yeah, we can do that. Okay.
Yes. Hello, sir.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. So I think we are done with your part with the presentation. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. So I think now we can definitely take a few questions which we have got. We also have few pre-submitted questions, right? So yes, we can start.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yes, one thing that I can see here is that somebody had asked is that how can non-technical field students can excel in the field if they have to start from scratch?
I think I have already answered this,
This
but
question.
again, I
Yes.
will answer maybe in very, very short. You can
Yeah.
first learn the basics, that knowledge you need, Python and all those 5 steps. Then whatever you are, right, you must be related to some field, commerce or mechanical or any other field, or okay, maybe arts. Think about what are you doing or what you have done or what business problem you can solve, and work towards it. Make some project portfolios and start applying to companies and see. Don't just apply initially in Amazon if you're not very much into from technical background. Start applying from small companies, right? And there you can get an entry, get to work there for maybe 1 year, get an internship, and then move ahead to apply in big tech companies. I think that can be a pathway forward.
Okay. Okay, now there is this fun question Karan had asked, that how is actually data scientist life in terms of the job part is considered? Like, is it very stressful? How many years can somebody take to actually get into very good companies? How is the workload like?
Okay, okay. So I think this question varies from person to person and his own capabilities. But I started from TCS Innovation Labs. Work was very good there, I would say. I was very happy to get it there. But it is not considered as a uh, like a big giant in machine learning or artificial intelligence. But as compared to Samsung, all sorts of machine learning, artificial intelligence is going on there. So it took me like 2 years to move from Samsung, move towards Samsung. And to learn, I think once you learning can take maybe 1 month or 2 months, basic learning. Move immediately towards solving problems. That's where you can create real impact and improve your portfolio.
And how is the workload like? Is the job very
Workload.
stressful that way? Yes.
Okay, okay. So my job is not stressful at all. Because I particularly enjoy my work, and that's why I motivate you all to also come join in this field because I enjoy. And on an average day, I work for like 5 hours, for 5 hours, and working at home it's a perk, right? And rest of the time I spend my family, sip a cup of coffee, do things.
Okay, thank you. I think a lot of pre-submitted questions we basically have on the growth and progress as a fresher. I think Utsav had already answered most of them. So I'll take some things which are a little bit maybe different on the side. Okay, a lot of people had also asked basically regarding the abroad master degrees in data science.
Mhm.
So what do you think can be the best prospects when it comes to taking up this field in the future in terms of the higher studies part is considered?
So higher studies, I would recommend if you are in early stages of your career, you go for it. So if you're a college fresher and you are confused whether to work for 1 or 2 years, then go for masters. I would say go for masters. Don't wait for it. And but your master should be from CMU or a good college. So there are a couple of like 10, 15 college I know. Sunny Buffalo University is good, CMU is good, and MIT, Harvard, if you can get there, definitely very good. Cambridge not very good for machine learning, but yeah, now they're improving, so they're working on this part. So I would say have a list of like 10, 20 universities. And University of Toronto, Jeffrey Hinton teaches himself there, so that's one of the best universities to go if you can get there. And I think you have to do GRE and your all portfolio, but go for the best ones if you're going. Otherwise, guys, you can learn these things online and working towards. So if you're investing your effort, energy, money, all sorts of things, right? Go for try for the best universities, 10, top 20.
Okay, thank you, sir. Now there's this interesting question which we have that is based more on the machine learning side. The
Mhm.
question is, what would you say are the most important skills needed for one to become an ML research engineer, not scientist, in some AI research lab without having a master's degree? So it's like that.
Yeah. Or what is the question again? I'm sorry.
Yes, yes. The question is the most important skill that one needs to become an ML research engineer, right, in some AI research lab without having a master's degree.
Okay, so I was doing exactly the same in TCS Innovation Labs, but my work was more like an interaction between the research as well as the applied research. So maybe it took me something to crack that interview. But if you're looking towards that, get to know how machine learning algorithms are built. Okay, you should know how gradient descent, all those intricacies, mathematics, all those things work. And maybe have a patent. Okay, okay, work towards a patent in improving your results on some of the already existing area. If you are going towards natural language processing, look for what are the existing state of the art techniques and try to improve on them. If you are able to do that, at least in any of the area, improve one state of the art technique, then it will be very easier to go and be a machine learning researcher in Amazon, Flipkart, because these guys are very, very less.
Okay, thank you, sir. So next question is regarding mechanical engineering, because I think a lot of pre-submitted questions have come on the same. So the question is that if somebody is a mechanical engineer by degree, so do he or she necessarily need an automobile data science project in his resume?
No, that is not needed. But if you have that complements your resume, that's what I would say. If you don't have, that is also fine. Okay. Uh, at least with then get to a internship or get to company and face interviews and then see look for yourself, experience yourself how you handle the questions. Okay, I will ask simply why you chose mechanical and now you're coming towards data science. Then you should be able to answer that, right? Because you are answerable to that.
Okay, so the next question is, this is more on the inference side maybe. It is that what exactly does a data analyst do in a company? And this is not about the different tools very specifically, but the exact work and inference from that work. Maybe I'm guessing that it is more about the value providing thing,
Correct.
right? That in a nutshell, what does the person do?
So in a nutshell, I would say they first of all fetch the data. That's where you need SQL to be a data analyst, right? You start with the problem. For example, just same problem, analyzing sales, right? For a company, right? Then you'll need all sorts of you'll have to make a report. Like I'll need the sales data regarding different geographies, different states, and all sorts of like demographics data, people data, spending data, and you have to fetch data from different sources, right? Then your job starts to clean the data, right? That's what analysts do. They clean the data, they organize the data, and they apply statistical techniques, graphical visualization techniques to visualize and see the inferences, and those inferences should prove a valuable insight to the company in decision making. So that's generally what a data analyst's job is.
I think yes. The idea seems to be quite clear here. This also answers one of the most questions we have actually like received here, which is what really defines a data scientist. So I'm guessing this was pretty much that, right? We almost talked about it, Utsav. Okay. Yes. So the next question we have is, how important is actually DSA for data science? Apart from that, a lot of people had asked questions on the importance of Tableau and SQL also. So if you could give a brief about all three of
SQL is
them.
important. Okay, SQL is important because even if you are data scientist, you need SQL a lot of times, and it's important. About Tableau, if you're going for data analysis or visualization roles, analyst roles, then Tableau or Power BI, at least have one of them in your resume. Okay, because these companies need to build visualization dashboards, and that's where you get to know. Then about what was it? What was the question again?
Yes, it was the importance of DSA, Tableau, and SQL.
Yeah, DSA. So the DSA, I suppose it is data structures and algorithms. And I think as far as cracking the interviews, it is important because I faced in Samsung also and in Oracle also the data structures round. First round was a coding round. So it's more like a bar for these companies. When the job role is concerned, I haven't used maybe trees or these complex data structures like segment trees so far. But yeah, clearing interviews, they are important. How much important? You must know basics of how arrays, lists are manipulated. Then you should know a little bit on linked list, stacks and queues, how they work, right? Basic problems if I give from stacks or binary search, sorting algorithms. Start with this, and not very high level will be expected from you like 2D segment tree or anything like that. If you know, it is good, but it won't be expected. But yeah, you will have to face DSA.
Thank you, sir. The next question is basically around the journey that you have had. How did you move from Samsung to Oracle, and then basically your transition, right? Samsung from TCS Innovation Lab, then to the present place you are working in. So maybe if you could tell people about the entire journey which you have had.
Okay, that's a complex one, but because I have to answer this in short,
Yes.
so I I looked for opportunities so that I had in me. Okay, when you think your learning is stuck, so start looking out, start targeting, and be prepared. Okay, opportunity can knock you anytime. If you are prepared, then you are ready to go. When Samsung approached me from for interviews or for first round, I was actually prepared. I was doing it from past 4 5 months, so that's why I was able to get it. It was a major shift. My friends were like, "Oh, from TCS to Samsung, it's a big deal." But yeah, I was prepared. Similarly, be prepared, and that's what happened when from machine learning engineer I became senior data scientist in Oracle. It was in 2018 I did that. 2019 I did this transition from Samsung to Oracle, and I was very, like you can say, enthusiastic or amazed by this title of data scientist. So, and the work that was there, Oracle was working on. So, be prepared. I would say that's it. Be prepared.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so let's actually first talk about how have you found maths in your school life, Utsav, like your
I
school,
was
college.
very bad. I was very bad.
Oh,
Honestly, I was.
you're very
I was.
bad at
I
maths.
was. I was very bad because I didn't know the practical application of what I was doing. So I would say I was very bad. And in terms of marks also I was not very extraordinary. So
Okay.
when I got into machine learning algorithms, I started to understand how gradient boosting works, how decision trees works, and how gradient descent works. So all types of different laws, cost function, all those different mathematics things. Then I realized the importance of those things that I left, so I went to them again. I would, honestly tell you, I learned from Khan Academy some basic calculus again. I was not sure about it because, see, there's a huge gap from 4 years of college, then 2 years. The 6 years gap is a huge gap. So I was not sure about all those chain rule in differentiation. And so I went to them again to understand the concepts that I had to learn to get into machine learning. So I did it.
Okay. So basically, this was my question personally because I have one question which was around the same topic, and you have, I think, pretty much answered it. So the question was that is there any correlation between our math skill level and our understanding of data science concepts? Because even I feel that a lot of people can have doubts, especially coming from non-technical background. People think that if they were weak at maths, right, so they can't grasp the concepts of data science. But do you think it's actually true?
See, guys, basic mathematics you would need. Okay, that is true. Now, how much basic means? Statistics, I told you, right? The distributions, the variance. So you can. These are all things that if now you look with a fresh eye, you can get to these things. You won't be. I don't expect you to learn all sorts of complex mathematics or differentiation, or I'm not giving you some questions on trigonometry, right? But basic mathematics, you would need to understand the concepts. Okay, so that there's no question about it. But if you have no interest in mathematics, I would say maybe don't go especially towards the machine learning role initially. Okay, and look for like analytics roles. That's where you will need some statistics, basic statistics to analyze things. So that's what I would recommend.
Okay, so I think so this also brings me to our next question, which even like I think a lot of people might have in their minds. What is the exact difference that points out between when it comes to data analyst and at the same time data scientist? Like how can a normal person, like say me, right? A very normal person who does not have a lot of idea on the same, but they still want to navigate between the two of them.
Okay, so
Hello?
am I audible?
Yes. Yes, yes. Now you're audible. I think there was some issue. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So data analysts, they analyze the data, they get analytics, they get insights. That insights help a business to take some decision or maybe not to take a decision. okay, based on those insights. Now what data scientists are, they just not analyze the data that help in decision making, they also build machine learning models that do the forecasting of tomorrow. So it's not just helping in your decision making, but also helping directly to apply at a customer's end, right? For example, chatbots or your YouTube's recommendation system. YouTube is recommending you the videos every time, right? Not anybody
Right, right.
particularly doing analyzing your data, but on a scale, they have built models that can recommend you videos, and it's particularly for you. So it's just one step ahead, not much of a difference.
Okay, fine. That's great. Okay, now there's one interesting question which we have here is that what is the exact reality of PG courses from Upgrad, Simply Learn, etc.? Are they actually helpful or they are not?
They are helpful, but if you want to start, I would say don't just take a course. Start from yourself. Okay, go towards the existing content available and spend some time with that. Spend some 1 week, maybe 15 days. And if you feel like you need some more structured, you would need mentors, then go for the courses. I won't recommend any particular course here, but this is some homework that you should be doing for yourself. So I have this question on from my YouTube channel, so I'll take that.
Sure.
uh, Maybe Aprajita has asked Tableau versus Power BI, which one would you recommend over the other and why? So Aprajita, any one of them would be fine. Either go for Tableau, Power BI, because the motive will remain the same. If you want to know where the industry demand lies, then I would say it's more oriented towards Tableau, but it's just a 60-40 split. So Power BI is also good in demand. And yeah, any other question? When to
Yes.
start at Kaggle? Yeah, when to start at Kaggle? Rahul has asked. Just one more question here. So once you think you know, you have the basic tools from the knowledge base of this machine learning data science, like Python, statistics, EDA concepts, right? Visualizations. So move towards a problem solving parallelly, then learn machine learning. When you parallelly work towards a problem and then learn, it makes more impact. So that's where you can start Kaggle. Yeah, Anisha, please go ahead.
Yes, sure. So this also brings me to another question based around the same thing. Few people have asked that what should be the ideal projects that an interested person in the field can actually start with. So what
Okay.
do you say on that? Yeah.
Okay, so you want me to give you a pill that solves all your problems? I don't think that can happen, but I can suggest you something. Don't go for like IMBD sentiment analysis, or reviews analysis, or credit card fraud detection, because these kinds of projects, everybody who's coming into data science, everyone is putting these kinds of projects. Okay, don't go with the common ones. Okay, and if you can think of some existing problem and then try to solve it using data science, I think this is the best thing. The next best thing, next to the best thing you can do is explore Kaggle, explore data sets that are already on Kaggle, different problems, and try to work on them. I think those projects you can take.
I hope that is helpful. Okay, so the next question we have is that should somebody take a proper gap year to upskill themselves and then go for masters directly? And this is a question from a student in a complete non-technical background.
See, complete gap year and then you'll go for masters. Why do you want just go for masters, right? Just go for masters, because that there also you'll be learning only. You'll not be taking 9 hours of your day to do some work or to do some job, right? So if you go for masters, you're also learning there itself. So I would suggest you go for masters. Don't wait, take a gap year. And if you're not sure, if you're not sure whether you want to go in this field, then take a gap year, then take 2 gap years. But if you're sure, then go for it.
Okay, I hope that is clear, Ashmita. Okay, so the next question is that somebody had asked here, I have great theoretical knowledge of deep learning, but in implementation part, I feel really difficult. How can he overcome this problem? I think this might be a problem with many people, that theoretically it might seem very good on the surface, but when we try to implement the same thing, definitely people face issues. So maybe on the learning and the implementation part, if you could brief.
Practice. Okay, go to Kaggle, understand what other people have done, how they have written the solutions. Okay, they will use Keras, they will use PyTorch, all sorts of TensorFlows. So you'll get to know how these things are being implemented. Just how dropout, or let's say, or batch normalization work, that is not enough. You should know where exactly to put it to get the job done. So this you will know when you will start understanding from other people's code. Okay, once I did the same, I was also not sure. The course is absolutely different, and while applying it is absolutely different, right? So get to understand from other people's code how they have done, then I think it will be very easy for you. So now, if you have good knowledge in deep learning, move towards the practical aspects of it.
Okay. So the next question we have is that when you have just started, right? That time, was there any sort of misconceptions that you have about data science, which later got sorted?
Okay, misconception. No, I have only preconception. The preconception was that this is the field that is going to be a big name in the future. That this thing I knew, because I knew computers are advancing. I knew that data, the memory cards, the hard disk, and the memories are getting bigger and bigger. So more and more data is going to get collected in future. And while working, I was sure about one thing, that this is going to be big. No misconception, I would say.
Okay, so maybe this also gives us a clear picture about that how one needs to be very clear before he actually thinks to proceed in this field, right?
Yeah,
You
exactly.
need to be very much clear regarding what you want and how exactly you want it, and then there is no hindrance to whatever you want. Okay,
Exactly.
great. Okay, right. So we have a lot of questions based from IIT Madras. This question is by, I think, Bhanja Babu. He had asked that he is a YouTube learner, right? So how can he access platforms for free? I mean, a lot of people had asked this, that is free platforms good for learning? If you could give some platform suggestions also at the same time.
Okay. So guys, you can search by my name on YouTube, Utsav Agarwal, Data Science, or just Utsav Agarwal. And on my channel, you will see Python playlist, statistics playlist, EDA, machine learning projects, 2 hour session, live sessions I've taken there. So you can start with that. That's a structured way to move ahead. Okay. Once you think that my content is not taking you to the next level, then look for Kaggle for your learning. Okay. If you think my way of teaching is not good enough, then I would suggest also parallelly understand from Coursera Andrews NG course. That's one of the best course out there. Okay, you can audit that course for free. I also learned from that course. And similarly, there are some free courses initially I would suggest, and if you can learn from that, that would be very good, because it will take maybe 1 month or more, or maybe 1.5 month extra from your own end, but your exploration and the mental vista will be far more bigger than anyone who was just following a structured course.
I hope that was helpful. Yes. So I think you had mentioned in the beginning of this session about your visit to IIT Madras. There's a
Mhm.
question from there. What are your views on the BSc in data science degree introduced by IIT Madras? If
No,
you know,
I'm
I'm not
not
sure.
sure.
Yes.
Not sure.
Yes.
Data
Yes.
BSc in data science. A lot of people who are BSc are coming to the industry. Okay, that is one good thing. So as far as the industrial output is concerned from BSc guys, I think people have started to join industry from doing BSc mathematics. Even like in mathematics, if you have like a master's degree, people are already there in Walmart, Amazon, everywhere.
Okay. This also
I'm
brings
positive.
me to
I'm
another
positive.
question. Great. Great. Yes. So I also saw a few questions in the ME chat. Is that what colleges, preferably in India, if somebody was to be suggested for excelling in this particular field? Anything on that? If you know that in our own country, where can a person pursue the same
I,
course to upskill themselves?
IIT Madras is good. Okay. Professor Mitesh Khapra is very good there. Then Professor Ravindran for reinforcement learning is good. People from IIT Madras will already we know knowing about them, so they are very big names in IIT Madras. So apart from IIT Madras, IIT Bombay have their MTech in machine learning, so that is good. Then ISI Calcutta, I'm not very sure about it, but people say it is very good for machine learning. But I have met quite a few guys from there, so they were like okay, okay. Other than that, I would say go for good for a university. Then don't waste your time, because lots of college with the names of IITs, right? They also like not up to the mark. Okay, if you're spending some time, then either go for 4 or 5 colleges that are there in India for masters, or go abroad.
So the next question is around the same thing. It is that, is there any college criteria that companies have while recruiting, or skills and projects matter more?
Yeah, skills and project matter more, definitely. But some basic level criteria would be there. Either you are a graduate, right? Or you, if they have a basic um, coding round, that should you should be able to qualify that. Your resume should be well enough prepared to pass the screening round. So those are the basic criteria would be there. And don't initially target like Amazon or Google, right? You can always start, take some baby steps and move forward.
Okay. Okay, so the next question, I think a lot of people had asked this. If you could, just mention very few pointers when it comes to skills, the exact skills that a person needs to have when he or she sits for placements or interviews.
um, your soft skills also matter, not just technical skills. How you present your skills is also very important. No, like your programming skills, if you have, that is good. Okay, your projects, 4 5 main things are there. Apart from that, your attitude, how you present yourself, how you handle any negative question or negative comment or compliment, or anywhere where you get stuck in interview. What is your attitude, how you handle that particular drawback? So that is also very important.
Yes. So, yes, let's move to the next questions. Okay, now there is one more question, that is it necessary to learn computer vision, NLP, to become data scientist? Always?
Computer vision, NLP, I would say have one in your list, either NLP or computer vision. Okay, because if you have one in your list, then in your knowledge, then it gives you a plus point over other candidates. Then because so you won't always be working on the numerical data. So there would be images also, there would be text also, right? They would want you to have some knowledge in that. I have playlist in my channel on the natural language processing for beginners, so you can visit that, I think. And then maybe have one small problem as a project, and I think edit in your resume that shows that you have worked on this area, so you can do it. Even if that much you can.
Okay. Okay. So the next question is more about the post-pandemic time in some ways. The question revolves around the fact that now, since data scientist is an abstract product, and it was proved that remote working does not hamper the industry. So
Mhm.
considering the present times, is there any work from home opportunities, or if somebody can look for it, how is the whole genre when it comes to the work from home thing with data
things are
scientists?
things are changing. Okay, it doesn't apply just to data science. Any IT job, whether it is HR job or development, front end developer, SQL, or data scientist, data analysis, things are getting impacted. We'll see how the future unfolds, but I think it's going to be a hybrid work culture in future.
Okay. So there's somebody asking that, is there any sort of very particular specific application procedure that comes when a person wants to apply for a job in data scientist field, or that has to be just related to the entire domain or
See
something very
guys,
particular?
First of all, if you are just fresher, right, don't simply start applying for data scientist roles. Companies expect to have some experience, maybe 1 or 2 years of experience for data scientist roles. Some companies take, but not all. Okay, so you can start from applying for software developer positions. There's one way you can go to you can go to a team, you can start working there, and you can switch internally. Switching internal to a company is comparatively very easier if you have knowledge in some particular field. Okay, another way is look for the companies that hire freshers and data scientists, or then otherwise then have some 1 or 2 years of experience and then switch. There are multiple ways. You have to find your own path based on where in your career you are in, which phase you are in. But yeah, this question is something you need to explore from your own self.
Completely. I hope that question is answered because a lot of people had quite a few questions on the applications part. Okay, so moving next, again, there is one very particular in detail question that which topics of mathematics are needed for data science except the statistics part is considered.
Topics of data science. Okay, so
Topics of
statistics, then
mathematics which are needed for data science.
topics
So
of
mathematics.
mathematics. Okay, got your point. Got your point. Except from statistics, okay. So there is one thing in machine learning which is like which uses gradient descent, right, to optimize loss function, to optimize cost function. Okay, so there you will need some differential calculus, so that it is a plus if you know chain rule. These are basic things that we have in differential calculus. Okay, two areas. A lot of places in machine learning you'll either have differential calculus or you have some of the basic mathematical techniques that you already know. So these are the two major things apart from statistics. Okay, differential calculus and chain rule things. Then apart from this, like how, see, we have decision trees and like, so tree, so they are is how trees work. So if you have some data structures knowledge and how trees expand, right, you that would give you a plus point.
Okay, thank you, sir. I think we'll take two more questions next. Then I think we've come almost to the end of the session. If somebody has something, they can just type in the chat box quickly so that we can pick up, or we are just about to end up with few questions right now. Okay. So there's this question which we have that in today's time, we all know we as a country and even internationally, we are pressing in so many departments and segments right now. So when it comes to data science versus blockchain versus software development, how do you see them as career prospects?
It also depends on interest. Okay.
Utsav, I think there's some network issue from your side. Yes.
Hello.
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Now you're audible. Yeah.
Is it better?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think it also depends on your interest primarily. Primarily it depends on the interest. That what I would say. I also spent some time in blockchain, but I was not very much that. Eventually I dropped from it. So I think as far as the industry is concerned, these all things are in demand. Okay, the demand, likewise the people are moving towards it. If there's 100 openings, there are like 1000 candidates. If there are like 10 openings for blockchain, then there are like 100 candidates. So it's kind of a similar ratio. The demand is going with people, of number of applicants are also in the same ratio almost. So look for your interest as a priority to move towards this field, because then you'll be good at it. But it becomes easier for you to get into the industry in good roles.
Okay. Now we are moving towards the end of the session. One interesting question I think which you would like to answer is that how is the opportunity in data science jobs abroad for a professional who is from India? So it's basically like how are the gates abroad for somebody who's from our country and they're still a professional and not from a freshers level point of view?
Like in Singapore, there are opportunities in data science. Then in UK, Amsterdam, these countries you can target. Don't just go for applying jobs in USA, because visa restrictions, and a lot of good talent is already there in USA. So these European countries, Singapore or Canada, they're open to immigrants who want to go and work there. So I would suggest these countries. Yeah, opportunities are there.
Okay, great. And also, a lot of people have asked regarding your LinkedIn profile, your channel link. So I think that we can circulate once the session is over to all of them, right? They would definitely want to connect with you. We have got a lot of such questions here, right?
Yeah,
Okay. So,
I
yes,
think both the platforms you can search by
we,
my name.
any day. Yes, yes. Okay, so one last question which we are getting here is, this is the last one. This had come through a lot of people also. If we already know Python visualization, do we need to know Tableau? How important is that?
What is your target? If you want to go towards machine learning roles, data scientist roles, yeah, you would you know then you won't need a Power BI or Tableau. But if your target is analyst roles, right, or business analyst, data analyst, then because it's kind of eventually you'll have to, these companies are working on these tools, so they expect you to have some basic knowledge about how these tools work. And guys, literally these tools are very very simple to use, even simpler than the visualization that you've been doing with coding. Just imagine, right? There's no coding, you just have the tools to draw the graphs and just click in, and everything is like magic. So very very simple, so don't worry about it. And if you targeting analyst roles, I would recommend you at least have either Power BI or Tableau in your bucket.
Okay. So I think with this last question, we come to the end of this session. Thank you, Utsav, so much for such an insightful session and for answering every Q&A with so much of patience. I really hope that every participant here actually had a good time and they are taking value back to their home. And also to everybody, very much apologies for the audio issues or anything as such that came in between. All of you will be sent the session recording via mail, all the resource kit that also we had exactly mentioned before the session. So everything will be reached out to you via mail. Anything else, we are very much open to feedbacks. You can reach out to. Thank you, Utsav, so much for
Thank
the
you.
session. Thank you, everybody, for participating and actually making this session really interactive. We are very glad with so many questions we got, so much of interaction live. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Utsav. Anything you would like to tell the participants or anybody who is going to live stream see this?
I think I have already like spoken a lot. So maybe even if you can get 10-20% stays with you, I think that would be good enough. Because when I started my journey, there was no one to guide me. But right now, you can be guided well, right? There are a lot of good internet available in your cell phones. So take help from that, right? You just start reading, start understanding, and things are simple. So it's not like a rocket science that it take you something to get there. So things are simple, keep it simple.
Okay. Thank you so much, Utsav. Thank you so much, everybody, for being part of the session. Yes. So I
Thank
think
you.
with this, we will wind this up. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.